now we're on a panel discussion on digital transformation panel discussion, which is transforming into an AI company during turbulent times. Well, we're looking at covering digital transformation roadmap across sectors, the way to go, build advanced digital infrastructure to enable up-to-date digital services, contain or discard legacy processes, apply AI at scale to unlock the value of data, drive home to tenets of data governance and ethical data usage to all the data citizens across the company. We're looking at talking about understanding the benefits of cloud-based AI, creating a globally ethical and digitally competent workforce for a digital economy, virtual assistants and chatbot keys to customer satisfaction, and deploying new models leveraging agile and remote. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, on this panel discussion, we've got with us our panelists. First up, Dr. DUAA ABAOUD, the Director of eServices, Eastern Province Municipality. Dr. DUAA is a result-driven professional with an information technology management background and a demonstrated history working as a researcher, consultant, and a manager in both the United States and Saudi Arabia. We also have with us KAMRAN AHMED, the AGM, Information Technology, Samba Financial. Well, KAMRAN has more than 20 years of experience in diversified IT and financial sectors. For the last 15 years, KAMRAN has been involved in business intelligence and research and development in AI and RPA. KAMRAN with the Samba Financial Group since 2007, and he's responsible and specializes in financial MIS and regulatory reporting data and systems. Well, we also have with us our panelists, Dr. ALANAZI, the Director of the National Center for Transportation Technology and Logistics Services, CAS. Dr. AMMAR has studied a Bachelor of Computer Science at the King Saud University and a Master of Information Technology at the University of New South Wales, specializing in artificial intelligence and database systems. He's obtained his PhD in Computer Science from the University of New South Wales, and Dr. ALANAZI's research interests include machine learning, data mining, intelligent transport systems, and blockchain. Well, we also have Abdullah Aziz Al-Khalaif, the Chief Information Officer, Dr. Abdul Rahman Al-Mishari Hospital. Well, Engineer Abdullah is a veteran of 23 years of working in the IT and information management system with 13 years in the HIT. The latest challenges he took over are implementing ERP and HIS systems for hospitals in various stages of operation. He's been working on logistics and architect of the system delivery that suits the organization objectives. Well, we also have our panelist, Amin Haj Salim, the BDM Government Access Communications, Middle East and Africa. Amin is a business development manager for the government and public sector for the Access Communications in the Middle East. He's been with Access for over 5 years with various roles in sales and business development. In his role, Amin is responsible for building relationships with the key government bodies and supporting the collective vision towards smart and safer nations. And he's also driving top-line conversations on artificial intelligence governance, smart cities, and infrastructure development. And ladies and gentlemen, this entire panel discussion is going to be moderated by Mohammed Abdalal, the Head of Digital Experience and Innovation Cost. Well, Mohammed Abdalal is the founding member of the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, where he joined the institution during its construction phase in 2008. He's somebody who's responsible for managing the newly established digital experience and innovation function with a primary focus on leveraging technologies, processes, and people to create a smart digital experience across the universities and city of KAUST. Mohammed has previously managed the university's IT infrastructure functions, and he oversees strategic digital transformation plans and initiatives as well. So ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to pass on to this incredible panel who's joined us on the World AI Show. Thank you all for your time today. Over to you, the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, good afternoon to everybody on this summit. First, I need to thank the organizers, TrustCon and the team here. It's a challenge to do these things virtually, and I'm not used to speaking to a screen. So excuse us if we do mistakes, but it's the best we can do here, and I'm sure we're going to make the most out of it. Today's panel theme is transforming into an AI company during turbulent times. I'm going to take the chance to run through a couple of rounds of questions with the panelists here. The first question is around digital transformation. Easy to say, hard to do. Are we on track? So, good news is we have a very diverse panel today. We have panelists from the financial sector, healthcare sector, municipal and public sector, communication, and even academia and research. So, with that said, I want to take a minute just to allow the panelists to introduce themselves. I know that you heard their introduction here, but quickly, just a quick round of introduction, beginning with ladies first. Dr. DUAA.
Hi, hello all. My name is Dr. ABAOUD, and I'm really passionate about digital transformation and IT optimization, and really thrilled to be with you all here to exchange knowledge and hear from the experts in the field.
Great. And Amin, if you don't mind.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Muhammad and everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Amin Haj Salem. I'm part of Access Communication, doing business development, mainly responsible for government and public sector for Middle East and Africa area. So I'm also passionate about the connectivity and transformation from digitally. So it's very important topic. We would like to talk about it in this panel discussion. Thanks for inviting again.
Thank you. And Kamran?
Assalamualaikum everybody. My name is Kamran, and I'm working with Financial Group for the last 15 years. I'm working mainly in the financial technology. It means I'm working with business intelligence, data warehousing, AI, RPA. All of these areas are we are working deeply, and I'm very much passionate about, because whenever the new technology comes in, the people having a perception that, oh, it's going to be a threat, so it's going to be a problem. And when we end up after many years, we realize that, oh, no, this is not, it was not a problem, it was a perception by adopting the new technology. So I'm normally advocating to change the perspective, to look at the technology and use as much as in the benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Ammar?
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ammar ALANAZI. I work at CAC, King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology, as the director of the National Center for Transport Technology and Logistic Services. I have a PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from University of New South Wales, majoring in AI and data science. My research interest would be in AI, obviously, machine learning, data science, and blockchains.
Excellent. And last but not least, Mr. Abdulaziz? We cannot hear you for some reason. Is the audio on?
Yeah. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
So my name is Abdulaziz. I'm the CIO in Al-Mishari Hospital. Was heading the IT and transformation for additional 2 hospitals previously. I'm in charge of all transformation from an automation and making sure that the organization is ready for this huge change, whether it's technology, infrastructure, or even culture and training and understanding. It's really interesting to see the upcoming changes right now with this type of automation that we are, fast track because of the pandemic and other aspects for reducing cost and increasing efficiency. It's really interesting to see also those seminars that is talking about it more and more, and it will feed into the awareness. And we really thank all of the organizer and other companies that's doing this effort. It really helps us in the bottom line. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for the introduction. So let's begin with Kamran and working in the financial and banking sector. Usually banking and finance are on the leading edge. They lead the pack in innovation because you need to be competitive and your transactions are very mission critical and high security is a must. What are you seeing right now at Samba from a digital transformation perspective?
So recently, we have done very important task and milestone, which directed by the central bank regulator of Samba. We have to do the KYC, know your customer, know your client. And normally, what happens? Every bank has to call their the customers. They have to verify their document personally and then go back. Because of this pandemic, it was not possible, but the KYC has to be done. So we implemented our digital transformation in KYC, where we use multiple sources. For example, having all the kingdom-wise information about the IDs and the registered cell numbers and the date of birth. Critical information will be stored with them, and the Saudi Post, they are having our client's address. So we automate everything through with REST API and ESB, which is basically electronic system bus. We automate all this operation, and now on, no single customer has to visit the branch to verify themselves. The system can verify themselves through digitally, where their documents are already verified, and they have to prove themselves by just clicking and verifying with the OTP, one-time password, verifying their AKAMA or commercial registration number, and it can be done like click away. There is no hassle, and the application can work through online and plus mobile app. So it's a very dramatic change, because we see that our branches are no more rushed because of just to verify their KYC because of their existing of the KYC. So it's a very healthy change.
So it's interesting that when physical contact is reduced, the need for electronic transaction became very evident.
Yes.
Very interesting. Speaking of pandemic and healthcare, healthcare sector has obviously been under a lot of pressure, and I think you guys have done a great job here in Kingdom, keeping up with all the demand with COVID-19. So, Mr. Abdulaziz, what makes an organization ready to become more efficient by automation? I know that you're interested in automation. So, what makes us ready?
Well, again, it's just identifying those processes that require the automation. Now, in the healthcare setting, it's going to be a challenge just to identify those processes that could fit into the automation as in the robotic automation processes. Now, that by itself is a challenge, and then adopting it from the people in charge of doing these activities. Now, making sure that they understand this automation is not for a threat for their job and security and others. It's just to increase the efficiency. Now, before we are dealing with 100 patients, we'll deal with 1,000 patients. We are extending our care to be telepresent. So that will increase our accessibility. With this increase of accessibility, increase of volume will come. So you ask about what will make us ready. And this is where we make different. When we make sure that the change is coming and the process is mapped and the people understand it, then we could have the three main pillars to build those processes.
Very well, and process mapping is obviously a critical foundational element. I'm afraid a lot of organizations don't do it well. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, that's the whole point. Now, processes is something that need to be defined. People in the operation will always lack the knowledge of the whole picture because they are in deep, daily activities.
Yes.
And we're relying on that layer of middle management or higher, tactical management to give us those clear, definition of the process and where it is stand, what is the input and what's the process, and then what's the output. Now, when we're dealing with the, operation layer, that is not always a clear cut. That's why when we introduce subject matter expert to this new, experience of mapping the process, it's going to be also a challenge. So they need guidance of how to build those process map, and they define it. So the technical people will understand it better and map it. Now, sure enough, I think RBA is one of the greatest achievements that we could have it into this hybrid world or mixed world. Why? Because some of our processes are still You know, they still have a human actor. They need to do something. Some of the systems that we are dealing with are not even, integratable. They don't have an API. They don't have access. So RBA will open a whole new, opportunity for us, because it's simulating that human actor in the middle of the process to make sure that the process is done properly and again with less cost. That's what I like about this automation.
Very true. Well, switching gears a little bit to maybe the commercial sector and the industry. I mean, you work for Access Communications. Access has a deep history in creating the connected world. I've used Access products since back in the early 90s when print servers were still a big thing back then. What patterns are you seeing from your customers in the most recent times? Is it more connectivity, or is it IoT? What is it, data? What do you see from your customers?
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Yes, I mean, Axis actually was one of the first, actually the first company to introduce the IP network camera. So really, we contributed a lot to connected world. So by having a lot of cameras or security cameras all over the world in so many different cities, and they are connected with the IP, and they are talking with each other. And this is really has give us the leverage also to be one of the first IoT platform by having all these connected devices together. And to answer your question about being in this field and mainly working with such as connected devices, many security cameras, IP-based, now we started to hear that, yes, I mean, you guys, you have the more connected devices in the streets, in every location, in the buildings, in governments, in schools, airports, everywhere. And those, the most connected devices, I mean, how we can leverage, how we can benefit from such as connectivity, which you guys, you are offering, and try to get more things to be done. So not anymore, I mean, what we call it beyond security. I mean, how we can benefit from such as connected security camera, or actually we started to stop using camera. We started to call it a sensor, because it's not anymore, it's only capturing a video, because the camera now with the IP connected and then to other different system, and in Axis we are actually very much famous about we are open source and we can connect to so many different systems. So now for our customer, knowing that we have this flexibility and we can scale in the very bigger systems, so they are asking, okay, how we can benefit from this advantage which camera can provide, the connectivity, the quality, and the videos. And previously, the camera was only recording videos, but from the videos, if we talk about the videos which we capture or the footage which we capture using the security camera, we can extract millions of data. What I mean about millions of data, now we have all this AI and the software which can analyze the video footage of any security camera and can give you many information. And this information, just an example, I mean, can classify people, vehicles, cars, trucks, trees, weather conditions, night, day and night, I mean, bags, many, even the colors, even the traffics, even I mean, you can filter what we call it the sky's limit by getting this information. So these videos is 24/7 is running in so many places. So imagine the amount of data which you can feed. It's now where we call it the big data. So now customer are asking how we can benefit from this information, not only videos. So we start, as I mentioned, to call it beyond security, benefiting from the security camera. So of course, now we started to talk about many applications which they can use in addition to security, and I can name like people counting. They can count people, they can do occupancy, We can do crowd or traffic, face detection, weather, smoke, fire, counting, parking management, speed, human. And this is actually what customer, they are started to ask us how they can utilize their current security camera and infrastructure, and which really give us the benefits since we are already in.
So the challenge with that is obviously more connectivity, more data.
Yes.
And speaking of data, I think Dr. DUAA is in a perfect position to talk about data. You made us more connected, but now we have to deal with all these data sets. So Dr. DUAA, you know, cross-sectional information, silos, data management, it's a problem. How do you solve it?
Actually, data is the engine that drives today every single industry. We used to worry about the lack of data, and now we have data deluge. We could not share large amount of data, and now for a fraction of the cost, we store tremendous set of data. Data quantity is not the problem. Our problem here is data quality and data variety. We could, many organizations, especially within the public sector, struggle with data availability and quality. From my own experience, organizations across the public sector hold on their data and resist cross-sectional transparency, though the main mission of public sector is to ensure the safety of well-being of people and collaborate together to do this mission. For example, what happened during the pandemic was a clear example of the cross-sectional communication need. Policies and procedures were changing on a daily basis. Public sector agencies required timely and local frequent data on urgent problem. They needed to communicate to react quickly and assess intervention. And it was clear to us by then that we have data issue and we need an urgent need for data analytics. For example, from my side, in the municipal main eServices, we cannot operate in a daily basis. In a daily basis, I'm not talking about the pandemic, as a digitized agency without access to data from Ministry of Interior, Traffic Control, Ministry of Justice, Finance, Ministry of Trade, and that apply everywhere. Like breaking the silos in general are important to promote innovation and productivity, and it's really essential when we are talking about data. Currently, government are really interested in data and trying to push for more transparency and really interested in AI, and it's picked up in the recent year. However, the change is really slow. But I do believe that we need to go slow in order to go fast at the end.
Very good, well said. Thank you. So Dr. Ammar, in the previous panel, a morning panel, mobility was talked about, and digital mobility, and this is an area of your interest at KAXT. And there's a lot of interesting happening even at KAUST. We're looking into autonomous shuttles. We're testing autonomous mobility as we speak. It's definitely a new area that touches AI, touches physical infrastructure, and touches the human being. What are you seeing now for Saudi Arabia to adopt more AI-based digital mobility and autonomous driving?
Okay, so at the beginning, I would like to mention that there's a clear, that the government is clearly working towards the autonomy. Prince Mohammed bin Salman announced the NEOM city, and that is going to be a smart city that is fully digitized. We're imagining it that it's going to be a showcase for autonomous vehicles. But if we step back and talk about autonomous vehicles, so there's 5 levels of autonomous vehicles. Level 1 is basically driver assistant. Level 2 is more assistant, where the car can steer and brake at the same time. Level 3, under certain circumstances, the car can act on its own, or the vehicle. Level 4, more automation. Level 5 is full automation. So if we talk about level 1 and 2, that already exists in our streets. So high-end cars such as Mercedes, BMW, I think they do have some driving assistant. Some cars, not high-end cars. So if you talk about mid-range cars such as Ford, they have parking assistance. So we do have some level of autonomous vehicles running through our streets at the moment. What we need to enable full autonomous vehicles on the streets, actually, we need, first of all, we need policies. And this is a big, there are big arguments around this one. So if an autonomous vehicle got into an accident, who's to blame? The manufacturer, the person who wrote the algorithm, the driver, and so on. Besides that, we need better infrastructure. So autonomous vehicles work on the idea that there are cameras. They use the street lanes to decide where to go, how to steer. So unless we have streets with that are fully organized, we cannot have autonomous vehicles. But to make a long story short, we can reach probably level 3 autonomous vehicles within this decade. We can have autonomous vehicles on highways, and this is a project we're working on in KAKST, where we will have connected trucks working together. But if we talk about level 5 autonomous vehicles, the ones we see in movies, these are a long way away from us.
Great. And I'm going to talk a little bit about autonomous shuttles in a small presentation I'll make at 2:20 p.m. of what KAUST is doing in that area. So this is my advertisement for my session.
That would be interesting. I'll make sure to attend that.
Definitely. We're a bit tight on time, so let me go into what I call a lightning round. This is a very quick 30 seconds or less predictions. I like to get your minds, and it's hard to predict the future, but we should still try. Dr. DUAA, starting with you. After COVID-19 hopefully finishes and we get over that, what do you see happening? More AI, less AI? Is data privacy going to become a problem?
Absolutely more. This is no question even. As the company began to navigate the post-COVID-19 world, as the economy slowly began to reopen, the application of artificial intelligence would be extremely valuable in helping them adapt to the new trends. Also, we all know that public and private sector are facing increasing budget cuts, which increase the interest in AI to provide more efficient decision-making. And to be honest, that were not the case with AI only. 5G market will be materialized sooner than expected. Cloud computing acceptance rate has skyrocketed after the pandemic. Digitization initiatives have been established everywhere. During the pandemic, we shifted from physical world and lived in virtual society for months. Businesses, government operation, logistic, learn how to function in distance and learn how to cope with the rapidly changing policy. Post-COVID-19, organization behavior won't go back to pre-pandemic norms. But if we're talking about data privacy, during the lockdown, when thousands of people were forced suddenly to work remotely, volume of private data became totally vulnerable. Attack increased tremendously. Actually, if you see the statistic, you will be amazed. And even data use and exchange was not always performed in a way that ensure data privacy. And also that increased the interest in data privacy, data security, and promoted the zero trust initiatives in all organizations, private and public sectors.
Interesting. Thank you. That's a good analysis. Continuing with healthcare, Mr. Abdulaziz. So COVID-19 automation and patient care, is automation still going to serve the patient well, or is it serving the hospitals to become more efficient?
I think in both sides it will prove its worth. Automation is going to continue. It's not going to stop. It's like now everybody have only tasted a part of that initiative and work, and they will not stop into the coming future. Post pandemic is going to be more automation, more use. It's going to be an added feature in majority of the system that you will ship in from any company that will have have AI inside, will have RPA, it will have machine learning. It's going to be the new standard into deployment of technology and systems.
The patient will still benefit.
Of course, it's gonna be increase in the privacy, because less people will actually look at the data of the patient in motion. So data in motion for the patient is very important. So we need to expose some of those information to a large number of people. With this type of approach, it's gonna be reduced number of those people to be involved, because we are replacing them with artificial intelligence or machine learning or any other facility that will keep those intact, the privacy side, plus increase the efficiency and reduce the errors.
Very well, very well. And the second two topics is Dr. Ammar, blockchain, and KAMRAN, security. They're tightly related, and we can spend an hour or two on this topic alone, but I know that blockchain is of interest to Dr. Ammar. Do we see applications of blockchain coming up and moving quickly, or is it still an interesting technology that is waiting for a problem to come?
Actually, yeah. If we go back to the history of blockchain, when it was first founded, it was a cryptocurrency based, but the technology itself is provided us with an opportunity or with a mechanism where we can have data that cannot be tampered, cannot be changed. So there are many applications that can be where blockchains can be utilized. The obvious two that come to my mind would be document verification, and the second one would be in supply chain tracking. So yeah, blockchain is already in use. There are many applications on the blockchain. There are many governments where blockchain is utilized to record public data or such data, and I think there will be more use of the blockchains in the future.
Well, we can also hear from KAMRAN from financial sector. AI, blockchain, security, and banking is a must. Are you adapting some of these tools now? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Not only one tool actually, and not only AI, as Dr. Abdulaziz already mentioned, and the previous discussion, one more topic has the blockchain, RPA. If you incorporate all this, include with this AI, so it will basically create a complete solution, because AI threats will increase because we are going to be more and more in technology. More data is out there, more applications are there, more equipments are there, and banking and banks are basically exposing a lot in many places. So AI, RPA, and this blockchain, if you incorporate all together, we can create tremendous applications which helps to on time, in time security protection, and definitely this is a requirement.
Very good. And Mr. Amin, we wrap up the panel with you. You have the floor to kind of conclude for us. COVID is challenging everybody. Supply chains are being challenged. How can we trust vendors? How can we rely on long-term relationship with suppliers? Are they going to be there in the future, or are they not going to be there? From your perspective, from the industry, how do we trust vendors?
I think it's very important that the business is always done locally. And we do it with people. So people buy from people. So I think the trust is very important to build it, and loyalty. And you can build the loyalty and the trust between the vendors and the customer by ensuring that we are always there and we are always available for them. So we think during such as difficult times of pandemics of COVID-19, vendors should help customer to reimagine their ways of working by providing new ideas through product solution and working, enabling you to work smarter and faster and safer at the same time. And now with this COVID-19 and the pandemic, I mean, how vendor really can help? I mean, we understand that we were working before in normal days, and we already provided the services, and we should help them how they can optimize or utilize, such as infrastructure or services which vendors they have provided, so to work in such a situation. And we have given the example about working remotely versus working inside the office. And now at the same time, now there is so many use cases which is in security. We can utilize the security camera to do more for COVID-19 by ensuring that we should not only focus in such as solution for COVID-19, but also we need to ensure that so many solutions can work even after the pandemic is over. It's like not using the opportunity and still such a solution for only this specific time. So just an example, for example, setting a camera, yes, we know it's a security, but doing extra things like we can make the camera to count people, and how we can utilize such as feature for occupancy management. Now we know that in the offices or in the shopping mall, we need to have a certain number of people coming in, and we need to use the camera to alarm or to stop receiving people, and we can utilize this one. And I think for long term, the customer, they understand who is really focusing. Like now they will understand by providing such a solution, they can benefit from such a situation, and this is something will really build the trust and loyalty. And this is actually one of the core of our strategy within Access Communication, that long term is a focused one of key pillars in our strategy, that we need to build a long relationship and also enable such as cooperation and long-term relation with our end customers. So this is in short.
Very well. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I think we took a little bit of the Q&A time, but I want to thank the panelists here. Dr. DUAA had to drop off because of an urgent meeting. I don't know, BHAVANA, do we have time for a question, or should we conclude here?
No, we do have a slight time for the question. If you'd like, Abdel, can I go ahead? I'll just paste it in the chat box as well. And meanwhile, I'll also ask you. Absolutely. So there's one question from Mohammed Khalid Tabanj, who asked that AI will require huge storage resources. How this will be handled? As we hear, for some companies, when it's the business model failed because its data storage costs became higher than its operation costs. I'm just, for your convenience, also going to be pasting it in the chat box so all of you can read it whilst I have taken ahead and asked the question. This is from Mohammed Khalid Tabanj, wherein he asked that AI will require huge storage resources. So, Abdel, if you could, direct your panel to that.
So how do we manage disk storage capacity and efficiency and on-site versus cloud? It's an interesting problem. I've dealt with it personally in a past role. Does anybody here in the panel have any kind of view on this one? Kamran, in banking, you must deal with disk storage all the time. Do you want to take a shot at that?
Yes, we are dealing with the storage, but normally the banks, especially in Saudi Arabia, they are not using outsource or cloud-based things. And definitely the in-house resources, we have no problem with this such problem. For example, the storage cost is not very high. In my opinion, in-house, the storage cost is, if you compare last 10 years or 20 years, it is much, much cheaper. It's not expensive.
And I can also add to this one is, again, I've done this in the past. The key for this, Mr. Muhammad, is to build scalable storage platforms that can continue to grow with you at a low cost. Otherwise, if you're replacing them completely, you're going to be in a very costly process.
And if I could add here,
please do.
Like data redundancy, or how long do you keep that type of data? We know that type of data and data government is very important to decide which data should be in the long run, should be kept into a few years, and what is the type of data that is in the transit, or something that could be deleted, is cached. So having those policy in place, so it will help a lot to reduce the size of the actual data.
So data governance also, correct, absolutely. We have a second question, is how to overcome the challenge of developing robust and reliable AI algorithms in terms of huge data needed. So, I'm guessing what you're saying is, to get a good algorithm, I need huge data sets. If I don't have huge data sets, I won't have a good algorithm. How do we overcome that? Who would like to have a shot at that? Kamran, you want to?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let me see. The AI, basically the hungry of data. As much as data is available, and this is not only the data. Data it should be clean. It should, when we are studying the machine learning, what they said, the data scientists, the most of the time is not basically to tune up the algorithm. The most of the time is spent to understand the data, clean it, and organize it. It means 70% of the time basically spent on the data. So it means if we do not have data, it will not work properly. Algorithm, on the other hand, algorithms are normally standardized. You have to parameterize, and you have to take the output. For example, self-learning, you say, okay, it's going to be a 70, 30%, 80, 20%, and it will, by the time when you are giving feedback, self-learning, it will improve on. So in my opinion, data and understand the right elements, it's critical. If this is not available, there is no AI until we have some other solution. For example, human behavior learning, then it's another thing. But based on data, we have to rely on data.
I'll even add one more thing is try to use someone else's data to train an algorithm. If you don't have the data, someone else may have it, and you can always partner to get this data and do it jointly.
It depends basically what type of outcome we are going to generate.
Dr. Ammar, you were saying something?
Okay, yeah, if I can add my 2 cents here as well. Yes, we know that more data will give you more accuracy, but actually this is pushing the AI limits it's pushing the boundaries right to the limits. So what we need is, either we be so innovative that we create more powerful supercomputers or more powerful GPUs, or we have to be more innovative in creating better algorithms that can utilize smaller data sets to generate better AI models.
Definitely. Well, thank you.
Sorry, just a quick note. Also, I'm going to have a speaking slot right after this panel. I will be talking about the AI and how it's working, and you guys most welcome to attend this, because it will answer some of those questions about the quality of the AI and the challenges, which Mr. KAMRAN and the others and Mr. Abdulaziz, they were talking about it. So we are trying to explain it from security and surveillance point of view.
Excellent. Well, thank you once again. BHAVANA, I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Abdal. And thank you to the entire panel for being so cooperative and sharing your insights on the World AI Show. It was really great to have you all. Thank you.